So, in the last class, we were studying about judicial exceptions and statutory exceptions. We have studied about them. Now we shall start with types of companies and we shall study every part in detail. We shall be studying different types of company which are on the basis of mode of formation. That is how a company is formed, whether it is a statutory company. If it is a statutory company, we have certain provisions based on it. Then we have registered company, in which there shall be provisions which are specified by the act on the basis of mode of formation. So we have seen this. We'll be seeing all these in detail. First is mode of formation, then second is on the basis of number of members. So we shall be studying on the basis of number of members, that is public company and private company. So what is the difference between a public company, what is the difference between a private company, how does a public company work, how does a private company work, what is the difference, what is the liability? We shall be studying each part in detail. Then next we shall be studying about on the basis of ownership. So on the basis of ownership, we have government company, non-government company and one-man company. So what are these companies? Various companies we shall be studying further. Then we have on the basis of control of management. So in that we have holding company and subsidiary company. So on the basis of control of management, why is holding company and how does subsidiary company work? And how does it function with the principal company? We shall see that also. Then on the basis of the liability of members, then we have on the basis of liability. Now what do you mean by liability? We all know liability means something that has to be paid. So companies with limited liability means what? That certain companies are formed with limited liability. Then company is limited by shares. So how shall shares be limited and how it shall work? So that also we shall be studying. Then company is limited by unlimited company. So what is this? This also we shall be studying further. Then the other companies, that is foreign company and producer company. So how does a foreign company work? If they have a place of business in India, what will be the rules and regulations? Then what will be the rules of registration? All this we shall be studying. Then you similarly goes about the producer company. So the companies may be classified different from different point of view, such as classification may be made on the basis of the following factors. First is mode of formation. Then second is number of members. Then third is ownership. Then control of management and liability of members. Now we shall see firstly on the basis of mode of formation. So how is a company formed and what are the different provisions for forming a different company, or what are the provisions regarding every company? We shall see that. Firstly, on the basis of mode of formation, companies may be formed by two ways. That is through a special enactment of Parliament and through registration under the provisions of the Companies Act. Means what? That certain companies are formed with the help of the Parliament or with the enactment that is passed by the Parliament. That is, bills shall be passed and then they should be first accepted in Lok Sabha, then they shall be accepted in Rajya Sabha. After that, we shall get the process of formation of a company or through registration under the provisions of Companies Act. So all the companies are generally registered under the Companies Act, whether it may be 1956 or whether it may be 2013. So depends on which act it is enacted and what are the provisions made. So we shall study about, firstly we shall study about statutory companies. Companies which are created by a special legislation of Parliament or state legislature may be called as statutory companies. Means what? Statutory means compulsory. So in this we shall be studying companies which are created by special legislation. Legislation means special rules and regulations of the Parliament or state legislature. State legislature means state rules and regulations. It may be called as statutory companies. Some examples of statutory companies are Life Insurance Corporation, Food Corporation of India, Reserve Bank of India, the State Bank of India, the Unit Trust of India, etc. Such corporations would not require any memorandum of association because the act by which it is created would contain all the necessary rules and regulations for the proper functioning of such corporations. So from this we can see that all the companies which are given as examples, that is life insurance corporation, so somehow they are being taken care by the government, or they are taken care by the parliament, and all the rules and regulations are formed in such a way that that while forming the company the rules and regulations are specified. So the in that we shall be having life insurance corporation, Food Corporation of India, Reserve Bank of India, the State Bank of India, the Unit Trust of India, etc. So these companies would not have memorandum of association. It will be created with all the necessary rules and regulations during the time when it is decided that a company needs to be formed. Then these corporations are mainly concerned with public utilities such as railway, gas, electricity companies, having its importance all over the country. So these statutory companies generally will be consisting of those companies which will be having certain things which are required and which are important to all the people over the country, which shall include railways, then which shall include gas, electricity companies, etc. So, the provisions of Companies Act 2013 also apply to such corporations as long as they are not inconsistent with the provisions of the Special Act under which they are created. So, Companies Act will not apply to these companies if there are special provisions regarding this act. In case there are no available enactment, or there are no proper provisions, in that case Companies Act can be referred. But since they are created under a special act, all the rules and regulations shall be different. And since these companies are government owned companies, that is government takes care of all these companies, and since the rules and regulations are specified, so they shall not consist of any memorandum of association. So these are statutory companies. Now once we are done with statutory companies, now we have second is registered company. Now what do you mean by a registered company? So, a registered company is something which is established under the Companies Act, whether it is Companies Act 2013, Companies Act 1956, or any other previous act which was in action when the company was established. A registered company is established by registering it with the Registrar of Companies under the Companies Act 2013 or under any of the previous Companies Act. All existing companies in India except the statutory companies have been formed in this manner. Tata Iron and Steel Company, Reliance Industries Limited, Maruti Udyog Limited are a few examples of registered companies. Any company which is registered under the Companies Act shall be a registered company. So in this case, we have examples such as Tata Iron and Steel Company, Reliance Industries Limited, Maruti Udyog Limited, etc. So these are few of the registered companies. I hope you have understood what do you mean by registered companies. Now, first we have seen on the basis of registration. That is, we have seen firstly we have seen about all the companies which are on the basis of mode of formation. So, on the basis of mode of formation, we have seen statutory companies and registered companies. Now, second we shall be seeing on the basis of number of members. So, on the basis of number of members, we have two companies, that is public company and private company. So, under the scheme of Companies Act, we find two types of companies on the basis of number of members. In the first case, we have private company. In case of family business or small scale enterprise, it is more convenient to form a private company because one can form it with the minimum number of members, number of one members only. The maximum number of members can be up to 200. So a private company can be formed by one member and it has maximum number of 200 members. So this is the feature, this is a basic feature of private company, that it has minimum one member and maximum 200 members. Now we will see what does the definition say. Definition of private company, section 268. Private company means a company that has minimum paid up capital of 1 lakh rupees or such higher paid up capital as may be prescribed by its articles. So, firstly we will be studying information about private company. Private company means a company which has minimum paid up capital, that is minimum capital of rupees 1 lakh or such higher paid up capital which may be prescribed by its articles. That is, in articles the person shall mention how much is the paid up capital which is introduced by the person who is starting this private company. Then it restricts the right to transfer its shares if any. Further, except in case of one person company, limits the number of members to 200. So, in this case, in private company, there we shall not be allowed to transfer shares from one person to another. Once you are the shareholder of a certain company, you shall be the shareholder of that company until and unless you surrender your shares. Then next, except in one person company. So one person company, we shall be studying one person company also in detail further. So I will explain you at that time what does this mean. And in private company we shall have number of members up to 200 only. That is maximum 200 members. After that it shall not have members. Then prohibits any invitation to the public to subscribe for any securities of the company. So prohibits any invitation means what? That public company has the right to invite people for their shares. But when it comes to a private company cannot do so. Private company cannot tell the public to subscribe shares or debentures of the company since it is a private company. Now why this is done? Because in case of private company, government does not have any hold. But in case of a public company, we will see that public company shall hold 51% share capital. In a public company, the government shall hold 51% of the share capital and remaining 49% shall be held by the public. So in that case, in case there is any fraud, in case there is any loss, in that case government has that much amount of shares that it can pay back to all the people who are in loss. So in private company it is not allowed. Private company, there are only 200 members and only they can subscribe or they can take the shares of the company. Further, note, so while calculating 200 members, how do I calculate 200 members of the company? So while calculating 200 members, what all shall be considered? While calculating the number of members, following points should be considered. Present employees of the company should be excluded. Past employees of the company who were members of the company during their employment and have continued to be members should be excluded. So firstly, all the people who are working with us shall be excluded. They shall not be included in the number 200 which we shall be counting for private company. Then past employees who were members of the company shall be excluded, who are not working with us anymore but were working with us earlier. Then where two or more persons jointly hold one or more shares, they are to be considered as single member for this purpose. Means what? That if suppose I and my sister together hold some shares of a company, so of a private company, so we both shall be considered as one member. We shall not be considered as two different people. So even jointly held shares by any number of members shall be considered as one single member only. In the above definition, we find that there is obligation of having a minimum paid up capital of 1 lakh rupees. Here capital means share capital, which includes both equity as well as preference shares. By this provision, non-serious attempts to form private companies are discouraged. Means what? That when we have seen in the definition that there shall be minimum 1 lakh paid up share capital. So 1 lakh rupees shares are compulsory. Then share capital which includes both. It shall include both equity shares as well as preference shares. So non-serious attempts to form private companies are discouraged. Means what? Some people form private companies for just for the sake of taxation. Attempt to evade tax, that is to cancel tax, or different reasons as we have seen earlier in the various cases. So this is done to discourage formation of private companies. Further, now we shall see what do we mean by a public company. First, we have seen private company. I hope you all have understood what do you mean by a private company. Now we shall be seeing what do you mean by a public company. So, public company means a company which is not a private company. Firstly, which is not a private company. Then, secondly, has a minimum paid up capital of rupees 5 lakh or such higher paid up capital as may be prescribed. So, it shall have minimum paid up capital of rupees 5 lakhs. Minimum paid up capital for private company was 1 lakh, but for this is minimum 5 lakhs or such higher amount as may be prescribed. So, any amount can be the paid up capital, but it should be more than 5 lakhs. Then, provided that a company which is subsidiary of a company, not being a private company, shall be deemed to be a public company for the purpose of this act, even where such subsidiary company continues to be a private company in its articles. So, what does this say? It is talking about subsidiary company. So, what is subsidiary company? How does it function? We shall be seeing it further. But now I will explain you that what does this point mean? This point means that if a company is a subsidiary company, that is a company which is handled by a principal company. So, in that case, if the main company is a public company, in that case they shall hold that even the subsidiary is also a public company. Similarly, it shall go for where a subsidiary company, even if it is mentioned in the articles that that the subsidiary company is a private company, still it shall be deemed that it is a public company. Understood? Further, now we have seen private company and public company. Now we shall be seeing about on the basis of ownership. So on the basis of ownership, we have three. First is government company, second is a non-government company, and third is a one-man company. So, firstly, we shall see registered companies can be classified on the basis of ownership. Accordingly, we can identify the following three types of companies. So, on the basis of ownership, we have three. Firstly, government company, secondly, non-government company, and third one is one-man company. So, we shall be studying first government company. The non-government company is controlled and operated by a private capital. Let us discuss the other two types, that is government company and one-man company, in the following. So what do you mean by a non-government company? By a non-government company, they mean that it has been operated by the private capital. That is, it is similar to a private company. But now we shall be studying about government and one person. Government company definition. Government company means any company which is not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by central government or any other state government or governments, or partly by the central and partly one or more state governments, and includes a company which is subsidiary of a government company. So, what does this definition say? That in which not less than 51% of the paid up share capital is held by central government, either fully held by central government or by any state government or governments, or in which case partly it is held by central government and partly by one or more state governments, and includes a company which is subsidiary of a government company. Okay, so now we shall be studying further. Government company may be a private company or a public company. In fact, it is a company registered and incorporated under the Companies Act 2013. Only because in the definition the words any company and a company are used. According to the Companies Act, a company is the one formed and registered under the Companies Act 2013. So, because in the definition of government company, they have said the words they have used are any company or a company are used. So, they say that it shall be deemed that it is registered or formed under the Companies Act 2013. Moreover, The concept of government company was included by the Act of 1956 only. In this sense, Life Insurance Corporation is not a company registered under Companies Act. Hence, we cannot call it as a government company. We know that LIC is the statutory corporation formed under the Statute of Legislation. So far as the legal status of a government company is concerned, it is not different from any other registered company under the act, even though the majority of the shares are held by the government. So we see LIC, that is Life Insurance Corporation. We have seen about this in the statutory company. Even if it is formed under statutory company, still the rules and regulations, that is the statute of legislature, which is formed, is already under Companies Act 2013, like Companies Act 2013, because the act states many rules and regulations which are in detail, and since LIC is formed under the Statutory Corporation Act, so they are not different, and government already holds their share. So in this case, we shall see further. Even if entire share capital of the government company is subscribed by the Government of India, we cannot say that such a company is owned by Government of India. In such a case, the land and buildings may be owned by the company. The Government of India only owns the state share capital. A government company can even file suit against a government in its own name as a litigant. Means what? That they have given whatever share capital is there, it is owned by Government of India. So in that case, even the land and building which is used may be owned by Government of India. So it also owns the share capital which is available in the company. So in this case, a government can file a suit against the government in its name as litigant. Means what? If something wrong is happening, so in that case the government has a right to file suit against the litigant. Further, the employees of a government company cannot be considered as the employees of the government. A government company, like the other, may be wound up under the under the provisions of the Companies Act. There are certain special provisions regarding government companies in the Companies Act in respect of 1. Appointment of auditor, and 2. Audit report. So what does this mean? That in a government company, the winding up shall be also done as per the Companies Act. Means what? Even a government company, when it comes to winding up, suppose the Life Insurance Corporation is going to wind up, so in that case, Companies Act specifies rules and regulations for winding up of a company. Similar rules and regulations shall be followed for even the government companies which are owned. And there are special provisions in the government companies regarding appointment of auditor, first and second audit report. So these two also shall be considered. Now we shall be studying how they shall do appointment of auditor. So the appointment of auditor shall be: the auditor of a government company shall be appointed or reappointed by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India shall have power to direct the manner in which the accounts of the company shall be audited by the auditor, and give the auditor instructions in regard to any matter relating to the performance of his function. The Comptroller and Auditor General has also the power to conduct a supplementary test or audit report of the company's accounts by such person or persons as he may authorize on his behalf. So what does this mean? Appointment of auditor. So the auditor shall be appointed by the Government of India, or by the people who are in authority. So in this case, he shall be appointed and he shall be liable to reappointment. Means what? That for a period of 5 years and again a consecutive 5 years. So like this, 2 times any person can be appointed. So these all rules and regulations are specified in section 143 of the Act, which states that the Controller and Auditor General of India shall have the power to direct that in what manner and how the books of accounts shall be maintained, how the auditor has the right to check every detail which he requires. It may be bills regarding, it may be accounts, profit and loss account, or any other balance sheet, or any other report whichever he requires. So he also has a power to conduct a supplementary test audit by company's accounts to such person. Means what? That he has the right to tell some other person also to go through and check the authority, check the correctness of the reports from the authorized person or from the authorized company. Further, now what is audit report? The auditor is under an obligation to submit a copy of his audit report to the Controller and Auditor General, who has the right to comment upon or supplement the audit report. Such comments or the supplementary report shall be placed before the annual general meeting of the company along with the audit report. So what does this mean? That he shall be under an obligation to submit a copy of his audit report to the Controller and Auditor General, who has the right to comment upon or supplement the audit report. Means what? That he has to submit a copy of audit report to the auditor and Controller and Auditor General. Why? Because to see to it that whatever the reports were submitted, whatever was submitted by the auditor, he has done his work properly, and he shall place the audit report in the annual general meeting along with the comments that he has, that is along with all the reports that he has found, and any comments, that is any changes or anything which was going wrong in the company, he shall place everything to the company during such meeting. Now further, where the central bank is a member of a government company, it is the task of the central government to prepare an annual report on working and affairs of the company. So in case where central government is a member of a government company, in that case the annual report and the working affairs shall be submitted to the central government itself. Such reports should be prepared before 3 months of the company's annual general meeting. All the reports shall be completed before 3 months. The audit report is placed before the board in the annual general meeting. Such report is required to be laid before both the houses of parliament, together with a copy of the audit report and the comments, if any, of the Controller and Auditor General of India, where in addition to the central government, if any state government is also a member of a government company, the copy of such annual report should be laid before the house or both the houses of the state legislature. But where central government is not the member, but any state government which is a member is undergoing obligation to prepare an annual report, it is to be presented before state legislature. The provisions mentioned above are also applicable to a government company in liquidation. So they have mentioned that how a audit report shall be first placed in the general meeting, then it shall be placed before both the houses of the parliament, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. After that, the comments and the audit report of shall be taken from the parliament, and all the things shall be collected, and then it shall be laid in front of the central government, and then central government shall file a copy, or if a state government is also involved, in that case the state government shall file a copy with the member, and the copy of annual general meeting, once it is laid between, after it is being laid to both the houses and the state legislature, then if there are any comments or if anything is going wrong, in that case the state government shall be under an obligation to present, to show that the whatever rules and regulations were stated were followed while conducting such reports. So in this case, government company, if a government company is into liquidation, all these things shall be also followed by the government companies. Now next we have one man company, which I shall be explaining you in the next class. So we shall call off for the day.